Well, we're in the urban part of the Isle of Man, near us anyway. Moved to the Isle of Man over, about a year ago?
Just over a year ago in July, in 2012.
And the reason we're talking to you today is you just brought out your latest video. It's fantastic, some of the stuff you got in there. And while we're doing this interview, we'll probably just float all these pictures over what you've been up to.
Good.
How do you find the Isle of Man for this freerunning?
I really enjoy it. I think it's very dynamic in the construction of things you can do and use, as opposed to the UK cities where I came from. The Manchester's where I trained before. There's a lot of walls around there, a lot of buildings to climb. At the same time, it has its downsides, a lot of security and, plenty of times be moved on. But over here, there's a lot more. I mean, rocks are a great surface to climb on, and there's plenty of that over here. There's a good few spots in Douglas and down in Port Erin where I live. Yeah. But then again, there's also some interesting bits like sand. There's plenty of beaches, so you can experiment outside as well. I do train down at Ellen Van in Gymnastics. I started training there a few weeks after I moved here, funnily enough, and I met the local freerunners.
Will Sutton and Co.
Will Sutton's one of them, yeah. Jack Bridson,
Jack.
There's a whole bunch of them, wonderful guys, brilliant at what they do. But it's different coming from a place where there's the whole city's full of freerunners to a place where there's barely any. So in a way, it's nice, but also at the same time, it's it's a little difficult for motivation-wise. But I mean, there are some fantastic freerunners down here.
I mean, looking at some of the stuff you're doing here, there's not much room for any error, surely.
Error as in?
If you make a mistake and you fall over?
Well, that's always been something you have to consider. But I've had my fair share of accidents, no doubt. Very first time I went training with the group in Manchester, I had too much confidence. I tried to jump a canal and I broke my wrist. I'm not going to lie. And
your first going on this?
Yeah. I recovered, and then I thought, no, okay, let's do this seriously. And all the training I did purely was outside. Everything was on concrete and everything, well, grass or concrete, rails. But that was, I believe, the best way to learn, because in the gym, everything's too soft. You don't really get a natural flow of things. Whereas if you do it outside, you're going to get cuts and bruises. That's a given. But in the gym is where you should experiment with, tricks or flips or whatever. So I focus purely on parkour movements and climbing and scaling, traversing. But then after that, I tried getting into flips. And it went well. I learned how to backflip. That was my very first flip, but then I took it outside a bit too quickly, and I bailed. I jumped back and I aimed at the ground, put my hand down, which you should never do, and my other wrist went, so it's 2 broken wrists. Wow. So 2 broken wrists already.
Now, and you say there's only a small community of freerunners in the Isle of Man, but they all seem to have a good standard, would you say? Yeah.
I think they've got a fantastic standard. I mean, Will Sutton, for example, personally, he's been my favourite freerunner. I've known about him for quite a while, and his style is very flowy, and but to train in this environment, I think there's something to it, around this area. So even though it's a small community, I still think it's a brilliant community of freerunners, and I think it's got a lot of potential. And even though a lot of people do think it's dying nowadays, I think it could easily be brought back up. And that's what I tried to do with my video, thinking, all right, I've not had too much time to train, but I'm going to do what I can and just do the best. So
and it's always on video. You guys always catch it all. I mean, they're great videos.
Believe it or not, we actually miss most of the things that we do. If anything, it's like a last minute thing of let's grab a camera, someone, unless you're really orchestrated like Will Sutton is, he always has a camera handy and says someone, right, just stand here and do this movement. Unfortunately, I've not had too much time to train since I moved over here. But nowadays I'm trying to get more into it. So, as you can see from my latest video, I've done a lot more work on flips and incorporating that, with my general movements, as opposed to just doing solid parkour-based climbing stuff, which I'm sure I'll be doing more in the near future. But I think so far it's making progress. It's making its way, and however it goes out, I think it's a good step for coming to the Isle of Man a year after being here. So I'm pleased with that.